Oh, Scotty Mendelson, once again, getting on his knees for Disney and giving Disney the good suck. So, we're going to be getting into this article that he wrote in regards to Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, because he thinks Rise of Skywalker is going to do great. It's just going to do just fabulous. But if it doesn't do well, then there's some really, really good reasons for why it wouldn't do well. So let's go ahead and get into what Scotty has to say about Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. So the box office, Hollywood is betting that Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker performs like The Dark Knight. Hollywood is a very vague term to be just kind of thrown around. Like, Hollywood is betting, okay? Like, who in Hollywood? Like, it's kind of weird. Today is August 2019, meaning we are 4 months out, not counting the Thursday previews from the domestic debut of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, or depending on what kind of nerd you happen to be, it's also the domestic opening day of Cats. Wouldn't it be just hilarious if we all supported Cats instead of Rise of Skywalker? Can you imagine if, like, Cats was maybe even, like, close to the same level of box office as Rise of Skywalker? That'd be hilarious. That would be absolutely fantastic. maybe instead of buying tickets to go see Rise of Skywalker, we should buy tickets to support Cats instead, just for the memes. Yes, you can see them both, but Tom Hopper's live-action adaptation of the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical is noteworthy in that it is the biggest movie ever to open alongside a new Star Wars movie, which is a good indication of just how trash Star Wars is at this point, that people don't respect it enough, don't fear it enough to stay away from that opening weekend of Star Wars. They're like, Cats will do fine. Let's just put Cats on the same weekend as Star Wars. We got this. Star Wars isn't that great anymore. I feel like that's kind of the mentality that may be out there right now. It will be, no matter what people actually are saying. It will be preceded by Jake Kasdan's Jumanji: The Next Level on December 13th, and followed on Christmas Day by Blue Sky and Fox's Spies in Disguise. That movie looks terrible. I'm sorry, that movie looks like garbage, but Jumanji I'm pretty excited about. Bearing a fluke of implausible proportions, J.J. Abrams' Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker will rule over the year-end holiday season, because if this movie doesn't do good at all at the box office, it must be just a fluke. It's just a fluke. It's not because the movies are bad. It's not because Star Wars has taken a turn for the worse and has taken a big nosedive. Can't be any of that. It's just a fluke. It's a fluke, everybody. At least in will rule over the year-end holiday season, at least in North America, and presumably abroad as well. However, the overseas box office battle, with caveat that all these films can win if they perform to financial requirements and expectations, is more complicated. Well, I mean, we all know that China is not going to be supporting Star Wars. China doesn't give a rat's ass about Star Wars at all. So we can just toss that out the window. Each of these three films, including one from Disney itself, is a bet on being able to share the Christmas box office pie, and a bet that maybe, just maybe, overseas audiences won't be as teary-eyed over the end of the Star Wars saga as we Yankees might be. Well, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I definitely will not be shedding a tear over Rise of Skywalker, no matter what happens, because it's been just a complete train wreck. I don't give a crap about any of these characters in the sequel trilogy, and mostly that's just because of The Last Jedi. Like, some of these characters I was actually kind of interested in The Force Awakens, but now, after seeing just how brutally all of them have been butchered in The Last Jedi, I don't care. So I'm not going to be shedding any tears in this movie at all. If Luke Skywalker's death couldn't make me shed any tears or anything, then nothing in this sequel trilogy is going to. If Han Solo's death couldn't make me shed any tears, then nothing will make me shed tears in this sequel trilogy. If you're someone for whom Star Wars has been a defining cinematic franchise, The Rise of Skywalker will be akin to Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, Avengers Endgame, and The Lord of the Rings Return of the King. What? No. Nope. It's not going to be defining like that, okay? All three of those movies that you mentioned there that you're comparing this to were huge, epic, cultural phenomenons, okay? They were giant movies that, for their time, were just beyond anything else, okay? There is very, very little hype for Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. I'm sorry, but comparing it to The Force Awakens, where the hype for that movie was overwhelming, it was insane. And now comparing it to Rise of Skywalker, the hype has died dramatically. There's barely any talk going on about this movie. There really isn't. I mean, this doesn't even come close to any of those three films that you're trying to compare it to. Oh, what a joke. What an absolute joke. Scotty, you are a joke. You are a joke. But if you're someone who doesn't put Star Wars on a pedestal, then it will mean about as much to you and yours as did the Maze Runner, The Death Cure, or 50 Shades Freed. You see how he's like now trying to bend this to make excuses, basically trying to paint it so that no matter what happens with this movie, it's either because you didn't care about the movie or a fluke or something like that, or it's going to be the greatest movie of all time. Basically preparing for whatever kind of situation this movie is going to fall into, you know? And it just goes to show that that's just Scotty Mendelson, good old Scotty boy, just trying to I gotta be careful with my words. He's trying to kiss up to Disney, pretty much. It's exactly what is going on right now. To those who now view Star Wars as just another big-budget action fantasy franchise, cats from Jumanji 3 might be, to them, the bigger year-end event. I mean, to be honest, I give more of a crap about Jumanji 3 for sure than I do about Rise of Skywalker, and it doesn't even come close. Force Awakens earned... Okay, so then it just goes into a bunch of statistics that I'm not even going to bother with. Anyway. Yeah, he pretty much just tries to make a bunch of excuses about this entire thing. If Jumanji The Next Level holds the line compared to Welcome to the Jungle and or Cats pulls in Mamma Mia numbers outside of North America, while The Rise of Skywalker takes a notable and or catastrophic Jurassic Park 3 level drop outside of North America, it may be a closer race overseas. The Rise of Skywalker could play like Revenge of the Sith. The most likely scenario is, of course, that all four of these movies make big bucks over the holiday season, with some left over for Greta Gerwig's Little Women to boot. Nonetheless, just as Disney demanded comparatively draconian terms for domestic theaters 2 years ago because they knew Last Jedi might drop more overseas than in North America, they dated a Will Smith tune on Christmas just in case Rise of Skywalker was a for fans only affair with a strong domestic tilt. Right there, you're pretty much just saying, you're pretty much acknowledging that this movie is not going to do very well, Scott. That's exactly what you're doing. You don't want to actually admit it. You don't want to actually admit that they screwed up with Star Wars, and Rise of Skywalker is going to bear the brunt of that. You're not going to admit that. Instead, you're just going to make a bunch of excuses for why this movie may not do as well, and in the meantime, you're still pretty much admitting that it isn't going to do as well as it should be doing. Which is really funny to me. It's really funny to me just how all of these shilds, all of these Disney kiss-ups, Hollywood in general, the mainstream media, how much they continue to make excuses for this movie instead of covering the actual issues of what is going on with Star Wars at this time. They don't want to actually get their hands dirty and talk about the things that are actually happening that are destroying Star Wars as we know it. They don't want to talk about that. Instead, they're going to point at everything else and make excuses for everything else surrounding this film instead of getting to the actual heart of the issue. If they want to play that game, then I guess go ahead. Go ahead and play that game. This movie is not going to be as epic of a level as you think it is. I didn't even see the Dark Knight in here. I don't know where he got the Dark Knight from. Where's the Dark Knight? Dark Knight, Dark Knight, Dark Knight, Dark Knight. Okay, here we go. The Meryl Streep, Amanda Seyfried musical romance also earned just $4 million less overseas than both The Dark Knight and Indiana Jones and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The Dark Knight still has the biggest domestic percentage of its total of any $1 billion grosser. Like the Star Wars films, the Batman franchise has intended to slant domestic even as overseas box office has become a bigger part. So basically, I think what he's trying to say is that he thinks okay, basically what it sounds like is he's trying to basically say that Rise of Skywalker is going to do well domestically, but it's going to do really bad globally. I think it's going to do pretty poorly domestically and globally, but especially globally, because already globally most people around the world don't care about Star Wars as much as we Americans do and all of that. And seeing just how terrible this trilogy has been, I think there's going to be a lot of people on a global level who aren't going to show up to see this movie because they just don't care. Like, the hype, I'm sorry, the hype for this movie is nowhere near the same level as Force Awakens, and everyone knows it. Everyone who is not trying to just lie to themselves will admit that. With that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know about what you think about this article. I'm going to support cats, everyone, for the memes. With that being said, thank you, Scott, for this delightful article, and I hope you get your check from Disney really soon. With that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you all very soon in another video. Talk to you later. Bye.
Hey everyone, it's Jeremy from geeksandgamers.com, and if you're a fan of Geeks and Gamers, please go to our website, visit our merchandise store. We have t-shirts, hoodies, hats, beanies, tank tops, and in the very near future, we're going to have many more products for you to choose from. So thank you for the support. We appreciate it. You guys have a great day, and we will talk to you later.